Commander Zexthul adjusted his environmental suit's filters as the shuttle descended through the toxic yellow clouds of Kepler 442b. The Vrexian Colonial Authority had designated this world as a prime candidate for expansion, rich in rare minerals, perfect atmospheric pressure for their species, and most importantly, recently abandoned by its previous inhabitants. Scans confirm the human settlement is completely deserted, reported Science Officer Krillik, her 4 eyes scanning the holographic displays. No life signs, no energy signatures. The colonists evacuated 18 months ago, according to galactic registry records. Zexthul's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Humans were notorious for their poor colony site selection. They had a disturbing tendency to settle on what the Galactic Council classified as Class 9 Deathworlds, planets so hostile that most civilized species wouldn't even consider them for mining operations, let alone permanent settlement. The shuttle touched down near the abandoned human structures. Through the viewports, the landing party could see the remnants of what had once been New Brisbane: prefabricated habitation modules, atmospheric processors, and hydroponic farms, all sitting silent under the perpetual storm clouds that shrouded this world. Atmospheric composition is perfect for us, Krillik announced. Sulfur dioxide at optimal levels, methane content ideal for our respiratory needs. The humans must have struggled terribly here. Zexthul nodded as he reviewed the planetary data. Surface gravity was 1.3 standard, well within Vrexian tolerance. The constant electrical storms would provide abundant energy for their fusion collectors. The acidic rain that had likely corroded human equipment would pose no threat to Vrexian bioceramics. This world was a paradise for their kind, and a hell for humans. Deploy the advance team, he commanded. Begin establishing the primary colony site. We'll have a full settlement operational within 6 rotations. The first week proceeded flawlessly. Vrexian engineers erected their crystalline structures with practiced efficiency. The atmospheric processors were retrofitted to optimize the already suitable environment. Mining operations commenced in the mineral-rich canyons the humans had somehow overlooked. It was on the 8th day that Engineer Moltar made the discovery. "Commander," she called through the comm system, her voice strained. "You need to see this. We've found something in the human agricultural sector." Zexthul arrived to find his engineers staring at what remained of the human hydroponic facility. But it wasn't empty, thriving in the toxic soil, growing in the acid rain, reaching toward the lightning-split sky, were plants unlike anything in the galactic botanical database. "These specimens are impossible," Moltar whispered. "The soil composition should kill any known flora. The pH levels are beyond the survival threshold of every cataloged plant species. Yet they're not just surviving, they're flourishing." Zexthul examined the strange vegetation more closely. The leaves were thick and waxy, shimmering with an oily iridescence. The stalks were twisted and gnarled, yet clearly robust. Most unsettling, of all the plants seemed to pulse with their own internal rhythm as if breathing. "The humans must have genetically engineered them," Krillik suggested, "adapted Earth flora for this environment." But as the days passed, the colonists began to understand the horrifying truth. The plants weren't Earth flora at all. Analysis of their cellular structure revealed something that chilled even the hardiest Vrexian explorers. These were native species. Plants that had evolved naturally on this death world, which meant the environment that was killing the humans wasn't actually that hostile. The realization dawned gradually, then hit like a meteor impact. If indigenous life could thrive here, then Kepler 442b wasn't a death world at all. It was simply a world so alien, so utterly different from Earth's biosphere, that humans couldn't adapt to it. But Vrexians could. The humans hadn't fled because the planet was trying to kill them. They had fled because they had discovered they were sharing it with something else. On the 15th day, the nocturnal surveys began detecting movement in the abandoned human structures. At first, the colonists assumed it was just settlement from thermal expansion, but the movement was too regular, too purposeful. The scout team that investigated never returned. By the 20th day, every Vrexian colonist could hear it, a low, rhythmic sound that seemed to emanate from the planet itself. It resonated through their crystalline structures, vibrated in their bones, and whispered in frequencies just below their conscious perception. The planet was singing. Krillic made the final discovery in the ruins of the human research station, hidden in encrypted files protected by security protocols the humans had never expected aliens to break, was the real reason for their evacuation. Kepler 442b wasn't abandoned because it was hostile to human life. It was abandoned because the planet was alive. The electrical storms weren't weather patterns, they were neural activity. The acid rain wasn't precipitation, it was the planet's way of distributing nutrients. The native plants weren't separate organisms, they were sensory organs. The humans had been trying to colonize a living entity, and when they realized what they had done, their scientific ethics had compelled them to leave. But the Vrexians had no such compunctions. They saw only resources to exploit, territory to claim. That was their mistake. On the 28th day, the colony simply vanished. Not destroyed, not evacuated, absorbed. The crystalline structures remained, but they now pulsed with the same rhythm as the native plants. The Vrexian technology still functioned, but it functioned in harmony with the planet's own systems. When the rescue mission arrived 6 months later, they found something that defied explanation. A thriving ecosystem where Vrexian and planetary biology had merged into something entirely new. The colonists were still there in a sense, their consciousness integrated into the planet's vast neural network, their individuality dissolved into a greater collective awareness. The rescue team's final transmission was brief. The humans tried to warn us. They marked this system as forbidden, for a reason. We understand now. The Deathworlds aren't the ones that kill you. They're the ones that make you part of themselves. The Galactic Council later reclassified Kepler 442b as a Class X restricted world. But in their private communications, they used humanity's term for it, a death world. Not because it was hostile to life, but because once you truly understood what it was, the life you had known was over. The humans, they realized, hadn't fled in defeat. They had fled in respect for something greater than themselves. And in doing so, they had shown a wisdom that the rest of the galaxy was only beginning to comprehend.